for the introductions. Thank you, Rana, for joining. Thank you, Harsha, for joining. Absolute pleasure. And first of all, congratulations. Uh, Loca Loka, your venture, Harsha and Rana last week raised $12.5 million dollars and many more to come. So congratulations, a big round of applause for the entrepreneurs here on the stage. So Harsha, I'll start with you, maybe. Uh, First I'll start with the business that you've, started, which is name is the tequila brand called Loca Loka. A combination of Spanish and Sanskrit, I believe. And while I'm assuming it is because of the two languages, because you're procuring from Mexico and we are here in India, so two respective languages. Is there more to it than the meaning, which is crazy world? Is it so? So Harsha, maybe we start with you.
So when we started off the ideation of this tequila, when me and Rana and we were discussing on the aspect of how we should take this forward, that's where the whole amalgamation of two cultures came into action. Till date, I don't think any brand has explored that kind of a scenario or that route to go. So that's how the ideation started, because culturally Mexico and India are also very near with their ground roots and their festivals, their culture, everything is like almost similar. We don't travel much to Mexico, but the logistics are too far for us. But apart from that, if you go there and see the villages, their towns, and they're very much similar to how our Indian cultures and our Indian towns are. So the ideation started when the perspective of branding and everything came in, and the product is authentic tequila. We are doing everything as much authentic as possible in Mexico. We are producing it there, we are bottling it there, we are doing it there. Only the brand name when it comes to Loca Loka, the first LOCA, which is crazy in Spanish language, and the second one LOKA, which is world in our Sanskrit language. So from the name and branding itself, we are trying to amalgamate two cultures from the brand name itself. So the perspective towards that was always, the creative direction is all led by Rana. So that's how he always does a lot of stuff in his creative world, in his movies, in his films, or whatever he's trying to do. He tries to be as much different and creative as possible. So that's where we started off, and almost 2.5, 3 years back, and now where we are right now.
Thank you. Rana, your take on like the word crazy world and tequila.
Firstly, hello, good morning, and thank you for having me here. Loca Loka, like crazy world, kind of says it all. Like Harsha had mentioned, it was really the first time we could see two cultures that were so far from one another, but yet had so much similarity. Both have celebratory natures that are very different, and but yet so ancient in their thought and belief. But the spirit of modernization is there in both the cultures very strongly. I have to mention the other partner that's not here on stage, but Anirudh,
Yeah.
who is one of the finest musicians this country has. And the idea was, how do you bring together two cultures of celebration to the globe? And that's really where it started.
Okay. So, in terms of the business strategy, so, you launched the product first outside and then inwards, we looked inwards. What was there? What was the idea there?
Well, a couple of different things. One being, if you're making a tequila brand which has to compete in a global market, we were like, let's play the big boys first. If we can fight the club where tequila is already popular, already a mature alcohol, and if we can win in those countries, then we've won the globe. And also, the product is built in Mexico, so being in the US was a pretty convenient step. We've now in Dubai, we're in Singapore, we're LOI is done with Philippines. So yes, so it's a bunch of countries before we get to India towards the end of the year.
All right. So, I believe as of now, Loca Loka has two products, Blanco and Reposado, if I'm got the name correct, yeah. So on the website, while the description of Reposado was easy on me, let me read out the one for Blanco, and I'll just read it out, the description is, Blanco has the blend of the rounder, fruity flavors of cooked agave, along with the earthier floral flavors of the Highland agaves. The overall experience starts with the cooked agave showing up in the aroma. When sipped, you get the fruity flavors, and then the finish is subtle with the floral tones. Quite a mouthful, yeah. How do you select these things? I mean, what's the idea behind it? I just read it out because it was really
So that statement there is maybe a decade of drinking tequila, and you're able to make up stuff like this. So that's how finally you can understand it. But we've actually partnered with a family that's now in their third generation of creating tequila, and again, it's purely from the plant. It's so natural, the process, which is pretty amazing. We got to be there a couple of times in Mexico. In fact, last time when the first reposados were out, we were there with it. So I think that, uh, and the idea was when you're creating. Okay, let's talk about Blanco first, and then reposado. The Blanco is obviously to be the right mixer, to make the right margarita, to make the right flavors. It's how do you be distinct but yet smooth in a manner was where that blend came from. And the reposado really is my favorite right now. It's better than many anejos that are there in the market, but uh, and we've done the most product testing on the reposado, and it's whether it's awards that it's won from the time it's there, whether it's the love of tequila clubs and others that it's won. I think the reposado is a really premium product, and I think 2 months, 3 months from now, we will have an anejo that's aged and out.
I saw that there is a blank space. Your
Yeah.
take on your
So to add on to what Rana has already suggested, whatever you have read are 100% to the words, because the area Jalisco, which is in Mexico, it's an active volcanic area, which has been, the volcano has erupted almost 2,000 years back. So if you see the earthy notes or the earthy flavors which we will be deriving from the agave is grown in the highlands, which is 5,000 feet above the sea level in Arandas. So whatever is written is 100% to the point, and the agave is a plant. So all the juices extracted from it, it's all as much authentic as possible we have made.
Cool. Thanks so much. So, just a reminder to our audience that we have some signed.
Are you a tequila drinker?
Yes, I am, and I've tried it. Not tried the one that you have, but because I haven't got it in store in Delhi yet. So probably.
I should have just started this with a shot of tequila, and then everything would have been very different.
I'm sure I wish I could have done that. I'm sure that there's a stall outside. Probably I'll try it later. Thank you so much. Just a reminder to our audience that we'll have a session of question answers with the founders here. And Rana has gracefully signed some of pictures, printed pictures. So whoever asks the questions gets those.
What do they do?
pictures.
Want the pictures? He made me sign a bunch of pictures. I don't know if you guys really want it or not, but
I
shoot
wanted,
away.
I wanted one, and my team wanted. So I'm sure that we're going to
Okay, then
keep some, and then we'll get rest of the ones we are going to give to the others. So yeah, so I'll come back to Rana, to your like your entrepreneurship journey and path. So I guess Mexican cuisine, you like it, right? You like the Mexican food. But yeah, food acha laga, hijacked your taste buds, and you start a business that can't be true, right? It has to be more than that, right?
Of course it is. Like, see, what is my business? My business is storytelling. That's been my core. I've been doing that for 20 years professionally, whether it's acting in a film, whether it's producing films, creating advertising, or others. Now comic books and more. But I just feel like the source code to any business today in the world, if you have to connect with the consumer, is through storytelling. And whatever product may be that can be interesting, that can connect with the newer world, is something that I'm part of. And I think tequila or Loca Loka was a very seamless fit. The fact that it's the cleanest new alcohol that's there in the market. It is, I mean, I can't advertise or endorse this, but it is the healthiest of all the alcohols that you can see on a bar. And the third really being a fusion of cultures, and that's something that always excites me, where I can take our culture to some other land globally and bring their culture here for us to enjoy. So I think as part of that is where Loca Loka happened to me in my life, and yes, I love Mexican food.
All right. So, yes, Loca Loka is one venture, fine. But, I Googled, Rana Daggubati. And this is...
Terrible things will come up, so just based on what
Well,
you
well, I'll just read out what I've got, and this is what came up roughly. This is where Rana Daggubati is an actor, producer, television personality, advisor, angel investor, co-founder, board member. You manage production houses, distribution houses, acting school, have investment in gaming, metaverse, comics, and on and on and on. यार आपके दिन में कितने घंटे 24 हैं हमारे?
All of them are stories. And first, I think all of that happened not once, but across 20 years of my life. And I think large part of that is to give it to the team that I have. That's at Spirit, that's at Suresh Productions, and all the other companies. It's them who run it, and the fact that I have them to fight for me, and I fend for them. I think that's really what's made all of that possible. Just that I am an actor and the others in the company are not, which is why I get more popular and credit about this. But there's a gentleman here, Rajiv, who's my partner and CEO of most of the group companies. It's him, Pratiksha, Prashant, there are a lot of them who run this show, not really me.
Okay, all right. Now I know the formula, but I'll still stick to this, and I believe because you're one who does not prepare an exit plan. I believe, and you believe in creating legacies with all your business. So I'm sure there is involvement in your businesses. So is it realistically possible to have so many things going on and make them perfect? And if it is, then we would really like to understand the methodology. Do you prioritize, or how do you go about it?
I don't. I think when I started work when I was about 22, 23 years old, I got to be part of a company that was about 50 years old in the business. As I grew along, we invested in another company, was being Suresh Productions, the other being Amar Chitrakatha. Both were legacy brands. They were there far before I even started thinking stories. And I just felt like there's fewer and fewer in the world. Everyone's taking that turn of quick exit, say what can we do in the 3 years, 5 years and move. I said, okay, let me be that long-term player, because life is pretty long when you see it. And the fact that you have made a serious impact over this time means a lot to me. And I don't know if that statement is right, where I'm not prepping for an exit. I'm sure I will be, depends on the kind of business that I do. If it's a classic storytelling business, I'd like to find wheels that can keep continuing this operation for a long period of time even after I'm gone. So I think that's the ethic of business that I've picked.
Great. Thank you so much. Yes, I mean, of course, because here, room full of entrepreneurs, and everyone looks for an exit plan, be it for the investors or be it for themselves, mostly for investors, because there's a cycle of investments, and that's where the question came, because everyone needs to have a exit plan. So before I go to the audience, Harsha, I'll come to you. Did you choose Rana and Anirudh, or did they choose you?
No,
and who's more hands-on, and who's more hands-on with because he's busy with making music. He's busy with all his...
He's the one who's most hands-on. He runs the shop.
Yeah, I know that, but
we're
I
just
want to
touching,
understand
we're just touching.
For the last question also, I want to tell a small example in our journey. For Loca Loka, how his functioning was there. So we were supposed to be almost 6 months before only we were supposed to launch it. But unfortunately, he didn't like the label.
Okay.
This happened last year or somewhere 6 months before that. If that label was go ahead, we could have launched last April or March only, I think. He was adamant enough. We had like arguments, because there's a lot of money into it. There's a lot of, because the companies in America, compliances, you know how difficult it is to, more than money, it's the time aspect of it. He never compromised on it, because creative stuff, I can't go and argue with him, because he's the one who creates stuff. So, and he always told me something that these shortcuts will never work for us. We should always be on a plan which is long-term and stuff. And his businesses or his legacy or his family's legacy tends towards it. So that's why we also believed in his stuff, and we actually took us 3 or 4 months more to redo all the stuff, and it played the label is playing a very crucial role today in telling the story of Mexico and India coming together. So that's one example which I can tell about him. And I don't think we choose each other, because almost we knew each other from a decade, and we did try to do a lot of stuff. And even yesterday night when we were coming together, we were discussing like 10 or 15 ideas, I don't know, in that 1 hour of time. So we always do that, and COVID was a good time for us. He lives like, his studio is like one lane from my home. So his time pass was in the studio during COVID. And I was there a lot of times for him to be available. So we had like, this discussion happened 3-4 years back, like about why was why tequila, which is growing, why is not there a good brand or a good celebrate brand not happening in the alcohol world in India. So we had these discussions long time back, and Ani was his choice. He always told that storytelling and music always and alcohol goes hand on hand, and we need to have him at any cost. And Ani was like 1 hour meeting, one call from him, and he was on board with us. So it's a
All right, all right.
that's
Great.
the
Yeah,
short
I
story.
can understand the heady mix of, tequila, music, and storytelling. That would be.
You will understand after 10 p.m. once you have Loca Loka.
All right, great. So, I'm going to open with your permission, Rana and Harsha, the floor for engagement. Everyone, please introduce yourself. Keep your questions short. And if you want to direct it to Rana or Harsha, please do that. So, and once we are done, after that, we'll distribute the pictures that we have signed by Rana. Yes, sir, please.
Hi, Rana. Thanks for coming and talking to us. My name is Peterson. I'm actually building the next Fitbit of oral health care, if it is so, in the early detection of oral anomalies. Given your legacy of investments and startup, I would probably prioritize investments into my startup rather
No
than
pictures, please. Please, no
rather
pictures
than
right
a
here.
photograph is what I wanted to tell. And I don't live like Harsha next lane, so I don't know where to meet you or connect. My question to you is, sir, my question to you is, how is your interest in AI, healthcare, apart from the creative world of gaming and other areas of startup? And in this early detection, where in early stage startups, where capital is a challenge, what kind of avenues do you open as an entrepreneur and a leading investor in this startup world? Thank you.
So, Harsha, first, all good luck to what you're doing. One, I've become an investor by default, but it's only been businesses that I really understand. I know that health is a great large sector, but it's something that I don't know very much. And I'd prefer, if you need advertising, you need a way to figure out a market fit or reach a consumer, that's probably where I'd fit in. We at Spirit and at Antil will have regular pitch sessions where we have a lot of deal flow that comes in, and from startups, there will be a larger group that you should address and not just me.
The thing that you spoke about, you fight for your team and your team fights for you, that was brilliant. So having someone on board, a person like you, is interesting. Thank you so much for answering.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, thank you. Next question, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So, hi Rana, hi Harsha. So, in Hollywood, there is a, big history of celebrity-run businesses, and whether it is in skincare, cosmetics, clubs, and now alcoholic drinks, where there's George Clooney, Dwayne Johnson, and so on and so forth. India hasn't seen that kind of success. We have our share of celebrities. What do you think is going to change in the next 10 years? I've myself evaluated quite a few businesses run by some very big names. Absolutely interested in tequila as a brand, have invested in a couple of alcohol brands as well. So would like to know how the next 10 years are going to be different, and are we really going to imitate the West there?
See, there's one key difference in the West and here. When we have, let's just take the sense of a celebrity or an influencer or an actor in a slightly different leg here. We're a regional country where we're bound by language, and that's where stars are created. And most of the largest stars are created based on a certain language. It's very few that kind of cut across the country and set a certain stance. The job of an actor is actually consistently to change and evolve and create something new. But the idea of a creator or an influencer or somebody who sticks to the brand is to be consistent in some manner. So the idea is India still is seeing the early round of it. There are a bunch of businesses that have been extremely successful that are run by entrepreneurs, actors in that manner. I think it's the first leg of it. It's just that the right celeb for the right market fit is what you need. When you see globally, they do far lesser work in terms of volume. Say, take for example, George Clooney will have less than 15 or 20 films on his filmography. But if you take a similar actor of that age group or that nature in India, he'll have over 100 films in his filmography. So I think we operate in a little different context, and I think finding the right celeb, the right partner for each brand is extremely important.
Also, we need to add one more point on that. It's not only about the celeb endorsing the product, but he has to believe in the product. And also the product should be good enough for the consumers to endorse it itself. So, and also celebs are, I think in India at this point of time, as Rana told, we are on an early leg. There are quite few mistakes already done in that genre, but I think it will be evolved in future, and as told, everybody has to believe the product, and consumer has to believe the product at the end of the day.
Thank you.
Hope I'm audible. So this is Hari Babu, and huge fan of you, and I love the work
you,
you
sir.
are doing. So like even the question I'm asking like now, which is out of the box. Why? Because you are keep on telling the storytelling, the side you are into, right? So even for the storytelling, every time we are coming up with the line like, consumption of alcohol causes the health, and all these precautions we are giving, right? But still Harsha impressed you to get into this kind of business, and then you have chosen this out of the box. So what motivates you to get into this?
There are statutory warnings for many things, but if that we do, none of us here in this room will have jobs, I think. But the idea is that anything is moderation is fun. Anything, I think lifestyle and is a way to evolve. I think urbanization is something that is pretty key in life. And anything that can engage in a manner that can connect to a newer audience is something that I'd like to be part. And I truly believe storytelling is the source code for all life. The reason that we are humans and not another species is because another species can't tell stories to one another. And whether it's mythologies, whether it's the way we believe in life, religion, God, persons, relationships, everything happens through storytelling. So I feel like that will always be the core to wherever we take businesses.
All right.
Hi Rana, this is Shankar. I'm a tech entrepreneur. I'm doing something on the cyber security and AI space. Thanks for coming here, and thanks for giving your insights. The question I have is, why do you choose tequila, and do you want to stick on tequila, or you want to expand into other spirits as well?
Well, through and through a fund that I'm part of, I've been a slight investor in some of them because I just got to see a deal flow of things. But tequila was something that I liked for many years as an individual. I like premium tequila. I've obviously started in a crazy world of tequila being shots and just being mad in nightclubs at some point. And I felt like, okay, now that has a certain chic and a certain ethic which is very different from every other alcohol. The fact that I fell in love with the process of its creation. And that's really led me on to getting into tequila. And here you go. And I found a partner who was as interested, if not much more than I was. And that's where the enthusiasm began.
All right.
Do you have plans to expand it to other spirits? Or?
Well, see, any expansion in life, I think, is where I will get onto is if I find the right partner and if I find a person who has a vision to drive that ahead. So everything that I scale is based on people and their vision.
Yes,
No.
please. Yes.
Namaskar.
Just 1 second, sir. Maybe you can ask first.
Hi Rana, hi Sree. This is Nilesh Kumar. We flew all the way from Pune to attend this session. So I run a company in IT services, Talent Sketchers. Basically, we are into the global expansion also. I would like to understand, as you said, you wanted to take your brands globally. So what are the challenges and opportunities, and how you plan to overcome those challenges to grab those opportunities? Would like to know more.
The brand is already there, and it started outside, but yes, please go ahead, Rana.
Okay. Well, it's a good question, but I think I just got to be a little more detailed about it. Whether you want to reach any region, if they have a language, they have a culture, they have a way of life. I don't think any brand or any product can penetrate into a market without understanding their space. and globally it becomes that much more. Uh, well, what is the advantage that we have today as Indians is there is a larger Indian diaspora across the globe, which is in the larger set of the economy rather than rather than any other time that we had. So there is an entry point for us, but the idea of understanding their culture, understanding their local beat is something that's extremely important. I see that a lot in brands. We used to run an agency for the last 5-7 years where all that we did was translating and making sure the brands that have created advertising content in North India travel to different parts of the South. So I think first India is if you can crack something in India properly and reach 15 to 20 states that speak across languages, I think you'll be somebody who can control the globe.
Yeah, we are like Europe in ourselves. Yes, please. 2 questions more here.
Hi Rana, hi Harsha. Just a insight into AI. So AI in the creative process, both for Rana and Harsha, how are you using AI and what are the 3 apps which you like the most in your field of work, both of you?
AI, well, that's a big subject. That's a whole session topic. But I think whether it's the entertainment world, whether it's law, whether it's medicine, I think every single industry will use AI in some manner or the other in a far more prolific way. What do I use right now? Well, ChatGPT is almost like it speaks to me. It knows more than me than myself right now. We've started investing in some technologies that kind of build content for us in the visual effects space. So yes, we are very much with the AI world, understanding what it can do, where man can have time for doing other things that are far more interesting and see where life will take us. But yes, AI will be a part of everyday's profession, that's for sure.
So I also used a lot of ChatGPT in the initial stages of building the model of in the global scale, because for us, validation is a very important point in the alcohol world. Like for example, we are going to Philippines. We don't know what are the rules and regulations. Like on the go, we can't get, unless and until we go and meet the right people over there, you will not be having an open information about it. But ChatGPT, it helped me in validating the information how much ever possible. But in our daily meetings, because we don't have an office set up, because all our employees are in America, Singapore, it's literally global. So I use a lot of Firefly, the meeting app, which gives a good after meeting notes for us to understand, because we are working in like different time zones altogether. So these are the 2 apps which I'm using actively right now.
Thank you. Final question maybe.
Hi,
Can I? Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, Rana. Very nice to see you in person. I'm a big fan of you, and I love your storytelling skill.
Thank you, sir.
Very simple question. Is your personality as a result of your tequila shot what you take? And the second question, do you have any plan to bring this Loca Loka into a stock market as well? Thank you.
Well, Loca Loka is the reason it's Loca Loka, because it has a shot of me in it. That's how I'd like to put it. And yes, we are very excited to bring it to India, and closer towards the end of the year is when it'll be out in stores here.
Thank you.
So one last question, if that's possible.
Did you ask about IPO? Well,
IPO,
that's a journey that we will
it's too early,
eventually have. We just started out.
Too early. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Sir, your story is really inspiring for all of us. I'm Surya Utkarsha, the founder of Roadies and the Nile Clothing. So my question was, what is one piece of advice you could give to the young entrepreneurs out there? Thank you.
Thank you. And can you pass on the mic to the gentleman?
Well, one piece of advice that I'm not the kind of guy who gives advices, because I feel like I figured life on the go. One thing that I'd like to say for everyone that's young is there will be a lot of naysayers that say this can't be done, or this you can't do this, because and only reason they say that is because they've never done it before. So don't let anyone stop you, or whatever idea that comes to your mind, see it to the fullest.
That's I think something that we all should be learning from here. Yeah. So I know there will be many questions, but we have
1 minute, 11 seconds. Go. Shoot.
Please go.
Okay, so very quick question. I'm Sanjay Shah, part of Vadlamudi Foundation. Had a quick question. I mean, why Reposado and Blanco and not Anejo? And And the second question is,
Coming.
don't you get eventually drowned in a whole bunch of people trying to bring in tequila in India, just like how it's happened to the gin industry?
Well, two things. One, why not anejo? It's basically the time that it has to be in the barrels. We're still young. Our anejo is getting aged and it'll be out in the next 2 months. And 2 months? Yeah. In May is when the anejo kind of gets out. And we're launching it in Vegas and Miami. That's the first set of where the anejo is going to be out. And second, I think, I can't compare this to the gin market. Gin, you can make it at home right now. But to make tequila, you need to be in the highlands of Mexico, in the agave fields. So it's a slightly harder drink to actually create and find the right profile for it. And in terms of competition or in terms of many people bringing tequila, I think it's essentially needed very much because that's when a culture begins. And when you can win in that culture is then you become a global player.
Thank you, Rana. One more question. Lady here, please, you stand up and ask your question even if you don't get a mic, and then we round this. I'm sorry, there would be many questions, I know, but we'll have to...
We have 10 seconds. Go.
Yeah, your journey is very inspiring, Rana ji. So my name is Vinita. I'm a lawyer. I'm a founder of Lex Fulcrum. That's a law firm. So my question to you is that on one side, you're an entrepreneur and make a lot of investments, are interested in many businesses. On the other side, you're an actor and producer and, doing a lot in the film industry. So I really want to understand what you do every single day, the tiny steps that you do to be the best version of yourself in both these things.
Well, the only thing that I have going is I've worked non-stop. I really enjoy every single thing that I do. There is nothing in my day or in my job that I do not enjoy. So I think that's how I keep my life going, whether it's a story that I tell, whether it's a product that I build. It's the joy of creation that drives me furthest. And I just feel like money and other things will follow if you just take that direction ahead. How do you make yourself the best version of you? I think that's a work in progress every day. And it's associating with the right people, making sure you have the right partners, treating all equally. And I feel like in today's journey, finding that social culture is as important as creating a product or a brand.
Truly inspiring.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thank you very, very much.